Okay. Okay, so Shuki should join, and Bruce and a few others. We're learning. I don't know. You weren't here last week, but I want to go back a second. We're on top of page Ein Gimel Amud Beis. I want to just go back quickly to page Ein Gimel Amud Aleph 73a3 in the art scroll because it's the connection to the Tana Rabbanan. So we learned in the Mishnah. The Mishnah talks about how do we deal with certain people that are being pursued for an avera or pursuing an avera. So there's a difference if a person's pursuing rape, murder, etc., and if someone is pursuing to do avodah zarah, Shabbos, etc. So, or even to bestiality is also considered something that you're not allowed to kill someone to prevent them from doing. So that's the Mishnah. Now we're bringing down a brisa that elaborates on the laws of the Mishnah, because the Mishnah in the pursuit of rape includes two specific cases: one of a rape of a young boy, and the other one a rape of a man, or a rape of an engaged woman. But how do we know to include other acts of rape or other acts that are not included? So the Brisa tackles this issue. It says like this: Tana Rabbanan, if you're pursuing a person to kill that person, or to molest a man or boy, or a engaged woman. Hey, doing Judith? We're just going with Chazara on page 73a, the Tana Rabbanan. So if a person's being pursued, the person's pursuing to kill someone, so Bruce is trying to get in. I'm not sure what the problem is. You guys got a no problem, right?
Yeah, no problems.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me just send him the link again. I hope he gets in. Okay. So, yeah, so a person, again, someone is a person who's pursuing his friend, the hargate to kill him, after male to molest him, after female engaged girl to molest her. Okay, now we're starting to add that the Mishnah doesn't include anyone who would be killed by Bezdin for any kind of relationship that's forbidden, that's punishable by death by Bezdin, is also, you're allowed to kill the pursuer. Hey, Bruce, welcome. Happy you got on. So we're just going Chazara a bit from what we learned last week on page 73a3 in the art scroll, the Tana Rabbanan. So it's middle of the left-hand column, the second main paragraph. Our Mishnah states, okay. So if someone pursues someone to kill, to molest a man, to molest an engaged woman, or someone who's actually chayv misas bezdin, someone who the bezdin would put to death for a relationship that is forbidden, for instance, a married woman, right? So if a person's chasing a married woman to pursue her, then to rape her, so you're allowed to kill the pursuer, the rapist, on his way to rape. That's chiv misas bezdin or chiv krisos. There are some relationships that are punishable not by the bezdin punishing, but they get chorus, which chorus is a kind of death from heaven. Okay, so those things, anyone who's pursuing that, these are all acts of rape. I mean, the Torah talks about these laws about relationship, even if it's consent. A married woman who has a consensual relationship outside of her marriage, is punishable by death. We're going back a little bit to the brisa that you and I learned last week. So the Tana Rabbanan on page 73a. If you're in the art scroll, it's A3. So anyone who's pursuing, so in those cases, if the man and woman together is consensual, then they both get punished, depending on who the woman is, if she's a bas kohen, if she's a regular woman, right? We learned all the laws of different cases of relationship that's brought down in the Torah that are forbidden. However, in this case, we're talking about that the woman is being chased, so she's trying to avoid being raped, and this person who's going to pursue her you can stop it. You're allowed to stop it if you need to. The only way to do it is by death. Okay. And so included in it now, we added from the Mishnah anything that's punishable by death by the Bezdin, or punishable by krisus, which is a severe way of dying from heaven, meaning your soul is cut off, is matzil na'isam benafshay. You can save them with his soul. Means you can kill the person, the pursuer. And we learned in the Mishnah, Rashi seems to understand that the killing is that you're saving the pursuer from committing a crime. Now, how about in the case of there's other forbidden relationships? So what's a forbidden relationship? For instance, the Torah teaches us that an almana, a widow, is prohibited to marry a high priest, or a high priest, to be more accurate, it's prohibited to marry an almana, a widow. Now it's not her fault, but that's just the Torah says. Torah says if a Kohen Gadol would like to marry a widow, he's not allowed. But it's not punishable by death. It's a lav. It's a transgression. So what happens if a Kohen Gadol is chasing an almana, not to marry her because that's an act of marriage, has to be done by the rabbis, but pursuing her to molest her? Now, if he were to molest the almana, to rape her, she would now become disqualified. She'd be considered a chalala. She would be considered a disqualified woman from entering the house of other Kohanim, because she can marry a regular Kohen, because she was part of an act that made the Kohen Gadol transgress a law, which is the laws of halala. Halala means basically the woman becomes damaged in this relationship, and her children possibly become damaged vis-a-vis their being Kohanim. Let's say she was the daughter of a Kohen, she could have been herself the Kohen, so she could also.
Rabbi, I was curious, does this eventually over time, does that have an impact over the Jewish communities, reducing the amount of time between those two parts of marriage, basically at the same time?
Oh, you see, asking why?
I'm just asking, like, over generations, like that's like nowadays it's basically the same night. So, like, I mean, back then it was weeks, months, sometimes even like longer.
A year.
So is that something that like eventually closed that gap for these types of legal matters?
It could be. We have it actually this week's parsha, right? This week's parsha, Rivka gets engaged to Yitzchak, and the family of Rivka asked that she should stay longer to prepare herself as a bride, right? Stay a day or a month, a few months or a few years to be able to prepare herself as a bride, even though she would be engaged. And both Rivka and Eliezer agree that was not a good idea. So I guess that they already figured in those days that you have to figure what's the best case for the marriage, but it could be something along those lines. So an almana to Kohen Gadol. So let's say the Kohen Gadol is chasing this widow. Could you kill the Kohen Gadol to save the widow from her being damaged by the Kohen Gadol? Or, for instance, a grusha b'chalutza l'kohen hedit. Same thing would apply to a divorcee to regular Kohen. We know the law is a divorcee cannot marry a Kohen. A Kohen cannot marry a divorcee. So if a Kohen would be pursuing a divorcee to rape her, would you be able to save her dignity by killing the Kohen, even though it's a transgression? It's not punishable by death. So the halacha is the Mishnah teaches us in those cases you can't. You cannot kill the Kohen Gadol, even if that's the only way to prevent the rape. I mean, a rape happened, but it's not going. You can't kill the Kohen Gadol or the Kohen because it's only a transgression. Okay, so here we have here we're starting to see a change. Now you have to remember something. Again, the foundation of this whole Mishnah is pagam, damage, that the woman becomes damaged. It's not just the act of rape. It's not just the avera, the transgression, because otherwise Shabbos and Avodah Zarah would also be preventable by death. So the very fact that we're not allowed to kill a person who wants to run to serve idols, we cannot kill a person that wants to transgress the Shabbos. So means to say it's not the severity of the transgression, it's the severity together with the pagam, with the damage. And that's why Rashi asks about the case of let's say the widow to the Kohen Gadol, right? So she's damaged because she becomes damaged by being raped by the Kohen Gadol. She becomes a halala, like I said. So nevertheless, Rashi says you can't save them because it's not considered the severity of a pagam. It's not severe enough. It's not considered enough of a blemish, even though she becomes damaged for other Kohanim. Okay, and the Gemara will talk about it. The Gemara continues. The Mishnah continues. Rabbi Yehuda adds other cases that you cannot kill the pursuer. In the event of Hanicha, the woman says, don't kill him, let him be. It means you have three people here. You have the man chasing the woman to rape her, and you have the person who could prevent it by killing the pursuer. But she says, please don't kill him. Why? So Rashi explains why. Because she's not in a case where she wants to have the relationship, but she doesn't have faith in the person who's going to protect her to get the job done soon enough. Let's say there's a distance and you have to run very fast, right? So she's scared that by the time you get there, she will be killed because you're pursuing the rapist. So she feels that you're getting involved would only do damage. So she wants to protect her honor, but she doesn't have faith in the person protecting her to get the job done. So she's scared now for her life that if the rapist is going to see that he's being pursued, he may kill the woman. So she's scared. So she says, don't kill him. So in that case, you're not allowed to kill the pursuer. Now, again, so the Gemara is going to go and explain why. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that? That's the rabbis disagree with Rabbi Yehuda. But why did Rabbi Yehuda say that? Okay. So what about so now that's these are all the cases. This is the case in the Mishnah. Now we're going to want to say, how do we know to include all these things that you're allowed? Because we learned before that we have a hekesh. How do we know that you're allowed to kill a pursuer? It's because we have a hekesh. We learned that a person who's trying to murder a person, and also a woman who's being pursued for rape, you're allowed to protect her or kill the pursuer with his life. And we have a pasuk, a verse. But how do we know to include from this verse all these additions from the Mishnah of other cases that are not specifically a engaged woman, which the pasuk is talking about? So the Gemara says, "Menahani mili." How do we know to add these cases? So the Gemara says, "Amar Kra." The Kra says the verse is like this: "Ulenaira leisasa davar." The woman you don't do anything to because ein lenaira chet maves. She didn't do anything. And therefore she doesn't get done, she doesn't get hurt, but you kill the pursuer. Okay, that's the verse. Now in the writing, anyone who opens up the Torah in Kiseitse, which is where this verse is, notice that the actual spelling of the word naira, which means a young female girl, is spelled actually nar, young boy. It means the hay they drop the hay. And in the pronunciation, when the Baal Korah will read the verse in Torah, the Baal Korah will pronounce the word na'ara, even though it's spelled nar. So it's spelled a male boy, young man, but it's pronounced young woman. So from that, the Torah, the Mishnah learns that nar. Why does it say nar? Why does it actually say the word nar? Zezachar, coming to teach us the same thing would apply if someone is chasing to rape a young boy. But we pronounce it na'ara, which means young woman. So this includes obviously the main topic of conversation of the pasuk, which means naira morsa, the young engaged woman. Where in the context of the story of the Torah, there's other laws, and that's the laws of if it's consensual, then she gets killed too if she's engaged. Right? There's a woman who has relations before marriage. If she's not engaged, it's not punishable by death. Now, those who are holding the art scroll, holding 73a4. The pasuk adds the word chet. She doesn't have a chet. What's a chet mean? Means that's a kind of sin that would include chai v'krisis, any kind of pursuing of a rape that the Torah would punish that relationship by kares. Kares means the person gets cut off, and included in that is many cases of incest, etc. Maves, what does the word maves means? That she doesn't get put to death. And these are the cases where the relationship is punishable by the bezdin killing either the man if he rapes or the man and woman if it's consensual. So therefore, from this we learn that the Torah is including all types of basically capital punishment, all types of capital of a death, whether it's by bezdin or by God or by Christos. Is you should, if you need to, you're allowed to kill the pursuer by killing him for preventing the rape. Again, you have to remember, as much as it's as we want to understand the Gemara protecting the act of rape, it's protecting the transgression and the blemish of the rape. It's the pagam. It's not just the rape, and it's not just the transgression, meaning the fact that the person is ready to do a sin, because then Shabbos would be included, and if it was just rape, then it would also be a woman who's not married, a pnuya, right? So a woman who's not married is not protected by this verse. Meaning you can't kill a rapist who's raping a woman that's not non-related to you, so it's not a kares or chayiv bezdin, and non-married and not engaged. As hard as that may sound, but that's the law. So, because he doesn't have the pagam, the pagam is the idea of pagam is not that she becomes damaged by the rape as much as her status becomes damaged. And an engaged woman who's raped is her status as an engaged woman to her husband, to the relationship, becomes damaged. That's the idea of pagam. Okay, so now because we have to understand this in order to understand how the Gemara is going to break up all the cases now going forward. So the Gemara says, "Kol hani mili lamali." Why does the Torah have to tell us all these things? The Torah could have just said any. Why can't we learn one from all of them? Once we know that, because the common that we have between all the cases is that's punishable some way by death. So why would the Torah have to spell out male rape, female woman rape, female engaged woman punished by death, punishable by this? Why does the Gemara have to? Why does the Mishnah have to include all this? So we need to, because otherwise we wouldn't know it on its own. Tzricha, we need it. If the Torah will only tell us the law about a young boy being raped, and we would try to apply that case to teach us all cases of capital punishment by rape, that you're allowed to kill the pursuer, the rapist. Again, you have to remember something else. As hard as this also may sound, you have to understand the law. The law is that you're not punished. It's not a revenge, right? This is not revenge. This is not revenge. This is prevention. If the act has already been done, you can't kill the rapist. Then you take the person to Bezdin, and that's it. Oh, sorry, I think we skipped out. I think I'm mistaken. I skipped out some cases in the Mishnah. Sorry, yes, I did skip out. I just want to go back to the Mishnah again. Nevda ba'avera, if the avera happened already. Sorry, I missed that. Nevda ba'avera, if the avera happened already, means it's after the case. Emat silan naisa, you can't save the person by killing them. Benafshay, yesh la mashia, if you have other ways of preventing the act, not by killing, let's say shooting the person in the leg, tripping the person. There's other ways of preventing the rape, like Shuki pointed out a few weeks ago. You don't look to kill, but if that's the only option, but if there's other options, then you use other options. And then Rabbi Yehuda adds, we also include a woman who says, please don't kill him because she's scared for her life. So just Rashi says that the Navda Avera means that the act of rape happened already. Kvar. So Rashi says Emat Sil and Apigimala Vikara Apigima Kapid, and the Torah is worried about her being blemished. And here already the blemish happened already. Now most commentaries ask on Rashi, that's obvious. Of course, if the act happened, Rashi comes to teach us that even if she's, in according to some opinions, even if he wants to rape her a second time, you're not allowed to kill it. Let's say he rapes her once and he wants to rape a second time, you're not allowed to kill him, because the damage of the engaged woman has been done. There's other people disagree with that understanding of Rashi. Okay, so sorry. So we missed that now. So that's included also. So now we want to know, why do we need all the cases? The Gemara says, if the case only said Zachar, why do we need all these cases? If the Torah only told us Nar, a young boy, so we would think that why are you allowed to kill the rapist before the rapist rapes the young boy is mishum delav orcha. It's not natural, and because it's not regular for this act, the Rashi says the bizayon baishis is gadol. There's a tremendous shame for the boy, and therefore you would think that that's why, to prevent that shame. Again, it's not blemish. It's not the same thing. It's a shame is something else. You would think that that's punch that you could prevent it by killing the pursuer, or in other cases that doesn't have that tremendous shame, like the rape of a young boy, maybe not. So therefore we have to add female. Aval na'ara, but a young woman, the urcha, it's more common. I mean, at the end of the day, is further have relationships is more common. It's just not with this person, not with the rapist, not on with her husband. But nevertheless, it's the whole act itself isn't as shameful. So therefore, you would think maybe you cannot kill the pursuer, the rapist. So Ema Allah, you would say no. So let the Torah just teach us a young girl. Why do we have to say the young boy? Because of Rachman and Naira, and if the Torah would just teach us about the young girl, Mishum de Kapagimla, there's a difference that she's engaged and she gets damaged. Where the boy, Aval Nar, de Kapagim, it's embarrassing, but it's not damaging. Damaging again is the blemish. He's not, it's not going to have the effect in the general picture of the relationship. We're not talking the trauma, we're not talking about all that, but we're talking about in the case of the engaged woman, her relationship becomes damaged because of what happened. Malay, I would think not. So therefore we have to have both the young boy and the both girl, because one isn't regular and the other one is because she's damaged. Rashi says, like Rashi, the last Rashi in the page, what's Rashi, Pogimla, Vipsulin umagana al baila, that it affects her relationship with her husband to be, and because he's engaged and he wants to be engaged to a young virgin and all that, and then she became damaged like that, it's a pagam. Okay, now we're turning the page to where we left off last week, and so the Gemara says, what about because of Rachmanahani, and if we only learned the young boy and young girl, right? So let that be like the Mishnah, and let that be only including automatically all the other cases. Why does we have to learn it? The Brisa have to learn it from all the verses of Maves and Chait, etc. Again, and Rashi teaches us, most of Farshim say that the Mishnah and the Brisa are not arguing, because if they're arguing, they would bring it down as a contradiction. So because there's no opinion that they're arguing, it's just that it's elaborating and explaining. So everyone agrees that these cases are included. So why do we need the pasuk to include them? Rashi says, so then the Gemara answers like this. But the other cases, it's regular for them to have relationships, and their blemish isn't as much. Rashi says, why is the blemish of an engaged woman the most extreme? So we'll learn the second Rashi on the page, left-hand side. The le'nafish pagmayu ka'arusa. None of them are as severe as in a young woman, engaged woman. Shechaviva v'yalas chen ala oris. It's very special for them as a couple and the engaged young man. Achshav misgana olav, and now it's going to be damaging in the relationship. The word misgana really means it's as much as it's not her fault, it affects. Avos shar royis, but in other cases, penuyis, if she's a single girl, or psulais, loy mifagna kulehai v'chein nisuais beulais loy mifagna kulehai k'mayrusa. Even a married woman or a single woman, in a case where the relationship is forbidden. Again, a single woman, just single with no relations with the rapist, is not, you can't kill the person at all. There's Torah laws about that, what a rapist pays. The rapist gets knas. But if she's, let's say, a sister, right? A sister, if you rape your sister, it's punishable by death. And she's a psula, but she's not married, or she's not engaged. She's not engaged, you would think it's not included, because the pagam is not as much. Okay. This is the law. Okay, but at the end of the day, we do include everything. That's why we have to mention it. So the Gemara goes back and says, Kasev Rachman Chait. That's why the Gemara says Chait, to teach us that any sin, any kind of relationship that's punishable by chorus, by cutting off, by death, by Torah, by Hashem, is included as well. You kill the pursuer. Because Rachman Chait, if you say just Chait, and that should include everything, why does it have to say Maves, death penalty? So that's a problem. Havamina, I would think, and that it includes any kind of transgression, even a Kohen Gadol that's pursuing a widow, because it doesn't. The word Chait means sin. It doesn't. We learn from it to mean sin of a chorus, but maybe if it didn't mention the word death, we would think it's included any transgression. Because Rachman Maves, therefore we say the word death. Okay, so then let's just say death. Because Rachman Maves, Havamina Chayv Mrs. Bezdin. Only when Bezdin kills a person can you go and pursue and act as the Bezdin to prevent the rape. In Chayv Krisis Loy, but in a case where the Bezdin doesn't kill the person, but the person gets killed by God, so too maybe in this case you're not allowed to intervene. Because Rachman Chayt, that yes, and in the case of this case, you are allowed to intervene to prevent the rape. So now the Gemara says, let's just say the two last cases, that any any relationship, any rape that the relationship is punishable by either chorus or death of the bezdin, it would include everything, included also a young girl and a young boy. Why do we have to say the young boy and the young girl? So the Gemara says, you're right. They're coming to teach us. One is coming to teach us that only these kind of cases, but not a case of a person pursuing to serve idols. And one chad is lemute behema v'Shabbos. One is coming to prevent a person who's chasing an animal for bestiality or to transgress the Shabbos. Okay, so this is basically the Gemara. So we know we have the spectrum of what we're talking about. Where a person could intervene. Now, obviously, if you could prevent a Kohen Gadol from I'm not sure what that is. If you could prevent a Kohen Gadol from pursuing a almana, you should prevent it. But you're not allowed to kill him. If you could prevent a young woman who's single from getting raped, you should prevent it. But you're not allowed to kill the rapist. And the question is even what you're allowed to do as far as damages. But in any case that is the relationship itself is a relationship forbidden by Torah by death, either by chorus, by God, or by Bezdin, then you are allowed to go as far as kill the rapist in the event that's the only way to stop the rape from happening. But other things that are punishable by death, like serving idols or transgressing the Shabbos, that is not for you to intervene and to prevent the person from doing that sin. Okay, even in the case of rape of an animal. Okay, so that's basically the laws. If any questions, this is a good time to go because we're going to go on to the next subject. Okay, so he says like this. The Gemara asks, "Will Reb Shimon bar Yochai?" It's very interesting. The Gemara doesn't always say Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Usually the Gemara will say Reb Shimon. Anytime the Gemara says Reb Shimon, it's usually Reb Shimon bar Yochai. But here the Gemara gives him his name. Reb Shimon ben Yochai, according to this to the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Yochai, the Omer that he says, he disagrees with the Mishnah. He holds if you see a person pursuing to surely go and act in the act of idol worship, you're allowed to stop him by killing him if you have to. That's what he holds. So if that's the case, so why do I need the Torah to tell us about a na'ara, because according to Reb Shimon bar Yochai, it's not coming to teach us about preventing a person from worshiping idols, because the person is worshiping idols, you're allowed to kill him. So why do we have to say na'ara? It doesn't go in to explain the opinion of Reb Shimon bar Yochai. He just says that's his opinion. Rashi doesn't even explain it, but that's just his opinion that he holds that someone who's pursuing avodah zarah, you're allowed to kill him. Now, obviously, that's in the times of those times. I don't want people to get become zealots or anything like that because it's not simple. That's the opinion of Shimon bar Yochai. So then, why do we need both the case of the girl and the young boy? Chad lemute behema, chad lemute Shabbos. One is coming to tell us that if a person pursues an animal, you can't stop it, you can't prevent it by intervening by killing him, or for someone to prevent someone from desecrating the Shabbos, you can't. Why would I think that you could for Shabbos? I would have thought I would have thought, returning to page 73b2, I would have thought that we would learn desecrating the Shabbos from avodah zarah. Both of them are called chalal. You're mechal, you're desecrating, and it uses those words. So if it uses the word chalal by Shabbos and uses the word chalal by avodah zarah, I would have thought that we could learn Shabbos according to Reb Shimon from avodah zarah. And just like you're allowed to prevent someone from worshiping idols by killing him if need be, so too you're allowed to prevent someone from desecrating the Shabbos. I'm not going to go into all the politics about this, but there's some. It's not talking about God forbid killing someone, but if you have ever wondered why there's some extreme people that go extreme when it comes to keeping the Shabbos, there's a foundation for it, because it's not something where a person say, why do you mind if I desecrate the Shabbos? The Torah says, Reb Shimon says, you have to get involved. So therefore, they have people that they're not killing anyone, God forbid,
Question.
but protesting. Yeah, go ahead.
So if Reb Shimon's saying that there's a chiyuv for it and you're not doing it, are there any repercussions then? If it's a chiyuv and you're not doing it, like, is that what they're worried about? Is because it says that you should get involved, but if you don't get involved, what's the repercussion for them? Why are they dafka doing it then? Just because it says you should?
No, but I mean, the Torah says, "Lo yisamel dam riacha." We have a pasuk that says, "How do we know a person's not allowed to just stand there?" It means you have to do it. Now, no one's gonna. I don't believe that you're gonna go to. I have to check because there's a law of lo yisamel dam riacha, and we use it for to be like we learned a few weeks ago that you're not allowed to see someone drowning and say, my phone is in my pocket, my wallet. I'm not jumping in. You're not allowed. There's a law. It's a transgression. Lo yisamel dam riacha. We have to check the laws to see if someone's standing there. There's two witnesses say, jump in, you're a lifeguard, jump in, please save the person. The person says, no, I don't want to. Maybe the person would even get malchus. I don't know. I have to check. It could be it's a law, it could be that's a kind of transgression that because there's a positive side to it that you should save the person, then maybe it's not. I have to check in the law, but you're definitely supposed to get involved. Now, to what happens to the person who doesn't get involved? Obviously, you can't. You can't. Let's say you have a gun on you, and you see someone running to kill someone, and you don't do anything, you freeze up. Is Torah going to punish you for that? I don't know. They say that unfortunately what happened on October 7th, one of the cases that I read was one soldier ran in and saw the other soldier froze up. He was standing with a gun, he couldn't do anything. So the other soldier grabbed his gun and pursued the terrorist. But he froze up. He was standing with the gun. He couldn't do anything. So I mean, would he get punished for that? Chas v'shalom. I mean, even though that's his job. I mean, he froze up. So that's according to. So you would think so now, so we have to have Shabbos. You would think that Shabbos is like avodah zarah. Now, Rabbi Lezer, the son of Reb Shimon, he says, "Machal Shabbos itin hatz v'nafshay." You're allowed to prevent someone from transgressing the Shabbos by killing them if you have to, because he holds. He says Shabbos michil chilim avodah zarah. He does learn Shabbos from avodah zarah that his father says avodah zarah is also preventable by death. You should intervene. So why do we have to have both the boy and girl? If anyways everything is included, why do we have to spell it out? So the Gemara answers chad miyut lemiute behema. One is coming to teach us to say that only if a person is pursuing an animal, you're not allowed to kill the person for pursuing an animal. And the other one is, I did the cause of Rachamana Nar, cause of Nami Naira. So the Nar is coming to teach us if a person is pursuing a boy, you could kill him, but not if he's pursuing an animal, which is the Gemara actually, why Nar, not Naira? The Gemara actually compares bestiality to the case of male rape. But nevertheless, you can't kill the person who's pursuing an animal. And once it says nar, it also says nara because that's the subject at hand of the young girl. The nar is just a limit from the writing, the spelling of the word, but the subject is about a young woman, not about a young man. Okay, so that's basically the case up until here. Again, any questions? This is we get the idea, the basic yisoid, according to the opinion of the Mishnah, not according to Reb Shimon or his son, is that the foundation of what we prevent over here is a pagam. A pagam is a woman who is becomes damaged by the rape, and because of that, you're allowed to kill if you need be, you could even kill the pursuer to prevent that. You cannot kill, according to the Mishnah, just someone who's transgressing a law that's punishable by death. For instance, avodah zarah and Shabbos. Reb Shimon and his son Rabbi Lezer disagree with that. They say no. Someone who's pursuing to worship idols is you could prevent it by punishing it. Now you have to remember the laws of avodah zarah is tricky, right? We've learned this. The laws of avodah zarah. If a person shows up to town and is doing missionary work, a masis, right? A masis is a person who's instigating people to serve. You get killed. It's not like you can't Irani Dachas, a city that worships idols, gets killed. I mean, idol worship is a series. This is the second of the 10 Commandments, right? First and second of the 10 Commandments. So that's not a small thing. Shabbos is also one of the 10 Commandments. But nevertheless, the Mishnah says that's not a job for a regular person to get involved in. That's a job for Bezdin. The question is like this: you have to understand what's happening over here. In the case of rape, most people, it's simple to people to understand. You're preventing or killing, right? It's clear. If you see someone chasing someone with a knife and you have a gun on you, most people understand the rationale that you stop the murder by killing the murderer or the attempting murder, right? There's nothing else you could do. You have to shoot the person. If you could injure the person, you injure the person. But if there's no way to injure the person, or if you have bad aim and you kill the person, you don't get punished for that. But in the case of the Torah is talking about not just the murder that's happening, or the rape that's happening, but the transgression, the sin that the person's committing, the sin of rape and the sin of murder. But the sin itself has to be included. Like that's what Rashi says. You're saving the murderer, but you're saving the murderer from being involved in murder and for being involved in damaging a woman. It's different than saving a person from serving idols. The Torah doesn't see it as the same thing. Serving idols, even if it's one of the 10 Commandments and it's punishable by death, there's not another person on the other side. It's between you and God, so to say. But in the case of a person that's pursuing to damage a woman that's engaged for her life, for her marriage, the Torah says that's a pagam that you can't overlook, and you have to prevent it from happening. Other things not. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai includes in it Shabbos avodah zarah as well, but the Mishnah doesn't say that. Now we're going to go to Rabbi Yehuda. What is the case? We're going to go a little further. What is the case of the woman who says, and this is a very normal case, right? The woman is being pursued by a rapist, and you're the zealot. You come in with a baseball bat, and she loves you for your you want to help her, but she doesn't have much faith in your ability to get the job done, right? She sees you as just being wild, ready to protect, but she thinks she sees the rapist being more qualified to protect himself than you have the ability to get involved. And she says, please, I'm begging you, just stay on the side. So Rabbi Yehuda says, you're not allowed to, you can't go after, you can't try to continue to pursue this rapist. Rabbi Yehuda says, he adds, she's scared. Don't stop him. Don't stop him because she's scared he's going to kill her. Means she's not that she wants the act to happen, but that she doesn't have faith in you, basically, or she has more faith in the abilities of the rapist to be destructive than you have to be protective. So the Gemara asks, what's Rabbi Yehuda arguing on? The rabbis who don't include this. Right? If the rabbis don't include it, it means that they disagree with Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Rava says, "B'makpedes al pegima b'makpedes al pegima umanicha soy shlo yargenu." When she's still worried about her pegima. She doesn't want to be damaged. She doesn't want to be raped, but she doesn't want to be killed either. So Rabbanan Svara, the rabbis hold, apegima kapid rachmana, because the Torah doesn't want her to get damaged. And she doesn't want the pegima. She doesn't want to be raped, but she's just scared to be raped. She's scared that you get involved because she may get killed. So the rabbis say, no, so what? If you're not ready to be raped, and the only thing is you're scared of the ability of the Savior to save you, or you're scared you may get killed, then the pursuer has to still do what he has to do. Rabbi Yehuda says, Haidik Am Rachman and Katlei. When Rabbi Yehuda says he disagrees with the rabbis, not just in the law, but in the whole fundamentals of the law. Rabbi Yehuda says like this: Haidik Am Rachman and Katlei. Why does the Torah say you could kill the rapist? Because Mishum de Masr Nafshel Katlei, she's ready to die better than to be raped. And the Torah says if she's ready to die for her honor, so you have to protect that honor that she's ready to die for. But this woman's not ready to give up her life for her honor. She says, don't kill him because I'm scared to get killed, which means to say that she's choosing, as unfortunate and as sad as it is, but she's choosing life over the damage that's going to happen to her. And so therefore, the Rabbi Yehuda says, if she's not ready to die for it, then you can't kill for it. The only reason you could kill for it is because she's ready to die for her honor. But if she's not ready to die for her honor, then you're not allowed to kill. I mean, the Torah says not that you shouldn't. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to kill the rapist, because this is not a case where the Torah allows you. The Torah allows you to kill the rapist when she's ready to die for it. It's similar to what we learned in Abab Machteret. That a person who tunnels into someone's house, why are you allowed to kill the person? Because the robber knows you're ready to die to protect your house. You're ready to kill to protect your house, to your property. So therefore, he's a roid if he's ready to kill you, so you could kill back. But in the same thing over here, you're ready to die rather than to be raped. Not always is it up to you. I mean, we learn these laws in the Torah, and you think about it, and then you read what happened a month ago, and all these scenarios happened. So here, Rabbi Yehuda says, if she's not ready to die, you can't kill. So you got again, Rabbi Yehuda hide the kam rachman. This is the Torah says katla, you're allowed to kill him mishum de maser nafshel katla, because she's ready to die. So rather than get raped, halei maser nafshel katla, she's not ready to die. So Rapapa says, if that's the case, Rapapa said labaya tabaya almon l'kohen gadol nami kapagimla. Why can't we pursue? Why don't we kill a Kohen Gadol chasing a widow? She's also, protecting her honor. So Amalei, he says, Apigima de Rabba kapid Rahmana kapida zuta loy kapid Rahmana. The rabbis are only, this is according to the Rabbanan that say that the whole thing is about blemish. The blemish of an almana is not the level of the blemish of an engaged woman or a woman that is involved in a rape that's punishable by death, and because she could still marry other people, and the damage is to a kohen, and therefore the Torah doesn't see it as severe. I just want to say Rashi. Rashi says, what's considered a pegima rab? What's considered a large blemish, a large damage, as versus a small one? Kigoyin aroyes, the krisus, is like any kind of rape that's let's say brothers chasing a sister, which is punishable by death by Torah. Shein chamuris, they're severe. V'havicherpasim ruba, her shame is great. Shavlad mamzer, if she were to have a child, the child is a bastard. V'nasa zona, she becomes a zona, according to Torah. V'bilasai, from the rape. Torah says, even if she's not willing, a woman she becomes a zona, of a kohen gadol, however, a high priest, v'almana eini nasa zona al chalala. She doesn't become a zona, she only becomes a chalala. So she's not so the child's not a bastard, doesn't have the severity, and therefore the cherpa, the shame isn't the same. Again, these are not for a place for us to judge the severity of these cases and the trauma the person goes through, but the Torah has to make judgment calls, and the Torah judges it based on the severity of all parts included. And here we're talking about killing someone, and here we're talking about allowing for a bystander to kill someone. You have to remember, what the Torah is doing over here is tremendous responsibility. When you open up that, Bruce, I'm sure there's laws about that in America also. When you open up the conversation to allow people to take the law into their own hand, that's a huge responsibility of the government or the Torah to say to a person that you see a person about to rape, you're allowed to kill them. That's a huge responsibility, because the possibilities for that to be done in the wrong way are great. And what happens if the person is misjudging what's happening or misjudging the situation, or who knows what? There's so many. That's why we have courts. Courts is to have its laws and witnesses and rules, and they could figure out what the situation is. But here we're middle of the act, and we're preventing the act, and the Torah says that we're allowing others to get involved. Others doesn't just mean the father protecting a daughter. It doesn't just mean it can mean anyone who's able to protect. And when the Torah just to open up that checkbook to give a license, like what they call license to kill, like that, Torah has to be very careful in what is included in that license, so to say. And the Torah says, as shameful as a high priest chasing a widow, and as shameful as a young woman who's not married and not related to the person from being raped, that's not a situation where the Torah is going to say that we're going to, even if she's ready to protect it with her life, you know, because you could have a young girl. Like I said, my sister, my wife told me that her grandmother, they were given poison pills before they went to the camps. You know, that if anyone was going to rape them, they were meant to take the pills to commit suicide rather than be raped. So they're protecting their honor, and they were not young. They were young. They were not married women. So nevertheless, even if you're ready to die for it, the Torah has to be very careful when it gives this okay, who they include in that. And therefore, same thing with Shabbos and same thing with Avodah Zarah. Means Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, you have to imagine the responsibility of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai to include in that someone who's worshiping Avodah Zarah, to go say that you're allowed to kill that person. You know how complicated that is? You know, rape is at the end of the day, it's pretty clean cut of what's going to happen over there. But you know how knowledgeable you have to be about the laws of Avodah Zarah to be able to kill someone who's about to. I mean, Avodah Zarah is not so simple, right? So these are complicated things, and the rabbis tremendous responsibility. The Torah took tremendous responsibility to allow for people, the regular person, to get involved, and therefore they had to be very careful in what was included in that and what was not included in that, and therefore it's not so simple. And therefore the Torah was very specific in certain cases that are included and certain cases not included. The cases that are not included are cases that the Bezdin have to deal with, whatever the punishment is. If it's not a death penalty, then it's whatever the punishment, the fines, whatever they are, they're punishable by the Bezdin has to get involved. But to prevent it, so that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. If a woman says, "Don't kill him, I'm scared I'm going to get killed," so you're not just going to tell the person kill them anyways. What the rabbis say in that case is tremendous. What are the rabbis saying? The rabbis are saying that here's a woman who's being pursued to be raped, and this is her blemish, and she's a case of capital punishment some way or another, right? And she says, "No, I don't want this to happen, but I'm scared of the outcome. I'm scared he's going to kill me." The rabbis say, "So what?" The rabbis don't. The rabbi says, if you're worried only about dying, but you're still very concerned about your honor. If she says, "I'm not concerned about my honor, I don't care," then the rabbis also agree you can't just kill him for the act of rape or the act of relationship. It's not rape in the case if it's consensual. But if she says, "No, I don't want this to happen, but I'm scared to die," the rabbis say to the pursuer, "Kill him." And she may have good reason to be nervous, So again, this is all these cases, Rabbi Yehuda, all these cases are very complicated. And therefore, there's a tremendous responsibility on the Bezdin, on the rabbis involved, in what they include and they don't include in it. So it's not so simple. It's not, God forbid, that the Torah is taking lightly of anything. But again, this is a situation where the Torah has to get involved in what's allowed and what's not allowed, what we can let others do to get involved. I think we're going to stop here because the next case is going into to figure out at what point it's not exactly the topic, but the point is, at what point is the rape already done? So that's a complicated question in halacha. This is like the story I think Shuki you said, or Ariel you said, about the story of the Zimri, right? You know how complicated it was for Pinchas to protect the law when he killed Zimri and the woman from Midian in front of Moshe and everyone. It was very complicated. These are not simple things. It says that even God had to intervene to create miracles for Pinchas, that it should be very clear of what was happening, because otherwise he could have been punished, persecuted by the Bezdin for what he did. All right, everyone, Laila Tov, stay safe, and we'll see you Be'ez Hashem next week.